Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to the Tingling Tea. Here at the Tingling Tea, we talk about the weird and the wonderful, the strange and the supernatural, the creepy and the cryptid, and all that is phenomenally freaky. And I can't go any further without bringing in my co-host, the wonderful, the beautiful, and the smart and intelligent Miss Annabelle Chimpton. Hello.
Thank
Annabelle.
you. Hi. I had a couple new adjectives tonight.
Yeah, you did. You did. I'm telling everybody about you. You know what I know about you as a person on a personal level.
Well, if you want to keep adding them on, I'm not going to be mad.
All right. And this young man who I've been friends with for almost like 30 something years, he is one of the most intelligent people that I know. He is very in depth. He is extremely educated, well versed, and extremely knowledgeable, as you will see tonight. The one and only Mr. Eddie Augie Ominous Peterson.
Oh, that felt so good. What a good intro.
Oh, yay.
I'm almost feeling flush. That was so good.
I think every week you get a new adjective added on to the end too.
Well, it's a far cry from where we began. So I'm good.
Yeah.
Before it was
don't complain.
And that guy, the other talking head, that person.
Hello, everybody. If you're just now joining us, we want to give a disclaimer. This is an adult show. So if you are watching this show and you don't like to talk about this particular type of content, the paranormal, the supernatural, the strange and everything, I suggest that you either turn us off or turn us down. And if you have children watching, please, please, please use parental discretion here. And know your child. And if this content is too scary for your child, please don't let your child watch this content. So I have to give that disclaimer. It's one of them 8 o'clock HBO shows.
That's right. Be careful, young children. Be careful.
We're not that type of 8 o'clock HBO show. Well, we're more like the 7 o'clock HBO show.
It's true. HBO keeps pushing the limit.
Yeah.
Earlier and earlier.
We're definitely not the midnight HBO show.
Oh, definitely not that. Definitely not that.
No, we are definitely not the midnight. What's the other one? Cinemax show.
Oh, yeah.
You're not that.
Yeah, no, we're not that.
Welcome to Lifetime. We're the Tingling Tea.
Welcome to Hallmark.
Yeah, the Hallmark Christmas special. Yeah, exactly. So anyway, a lot is going on this week. So this month, as you all know, is Black History Month. We are, of course, very much celebrating Black History Month, we're trying to review content tonight that is applicable for Black History Month. And it's interesting what the things that you find about Black history, how much Black history and Black people are embedded into the culture of America. So I'm excited about all the content that we're going to be reviewing tonight related to that specifically. And also we want to just let everybody know, and this is really, really, really important. We've decided to move the Tingling Tea to Thursday nights in March and going forward. It'll be the same time, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, 7 o'clock Central Standard Time, and 5 o'clock Pacific Time. But we just want you to know that we're moving in March. And I think our first show is going to be March the 4th. Am I correct? Yes.
That's right.
Yeah. I mean,
Thursday nights. We need our Friday nights back. That's really what it comes to.
Friday night, Fright Night.
Yeah.
Books.
Yeah. Maybe we'll view some movies together or something like that on our Friday night. We'll put that back in because, that's something that we started as a group not too long ago where we watch scary movies and then we all talk about it and stuff. I suggest it's a really fun thing if you are into that kind of stuff, having that kind of a get together virtually where you're watching a film, and yes, it can be done.
Especially during the pandemic. It's a fun thing to do with your friends.
Yeah, it definitely is.
We actually scheduled one in my friend group for tomorrow to watch Fright Night because none of us have seen it.
The original or the remake?
Original?
The 80s one.
Yes. That's the one.
And that's because we talked about it on this show, and I'm like, oh my God, I want to watch Fright Night. So I've made the date, and I'm going to watch it this weekend.
My favorite all-time movie where it blends comedy with horror. The best. Great campy characters, great campy how it's written. It's just a really good, and some really good frights, some really good, like scare frights.
Genuinely scared me. Genuinely, I was definitely frightened in a few times in that movie.
Oh, I can't wait.
You will really enjoy it.
Yeah, you will enjoy it. And we can't wait to hear back with your review. But now that we have you here, let's talk about what's new in gaming and what you have been doing, Annabelle, as far as Tingling Tea Gaming.
So what I have been doing is playing Alien Isolation. And oh my God, this game is everything. It's set 15 years after the first movie. And it follows Ripley's daughter, who gets a call to go back and like they might have found some evidence of Ripley, like a recording of her on the Nostromo, and you're going to go to this space station and investigate it. And that's the game.
Now, is this Newt or is this the actual biological daughter?
I'm pretty sure it's her biological daughter.
Wow.
Who knew that she was a mother?
Yeah,
I didn't know this.
Well, no, she did birth the creature, remember, in one of the episodes.
She is a mother.
She is a mother of the creature. I will tell you that. If you watch any of those, they're not the best, but I do remember her birthing a creature. So, oh my goodness. So
this game is like playing the movie. It's like so good. Everything about it. The sounds, the music, the voice acting, the lens flares, like
really.
I love it. I am so in on this, on the idea of going back to the Nostromo. And is it that you play by yourself? You like, this isn't a group thing, right? This is just you alone.
So it's a single person game. There are humans on the ship you go to.
Oh, you're not alone. Okay.
You're not alone. So I think I actually have a video of it that we can watch a little bit of.
Let's watch that.
And this is some highlights from the stream that I do every Wednesday.
Can I turn it up or do I have to turn it down?
You can turn it up.
Okay, let's watch this.
You can hear my stream of consciousness as I'm cowering in the corners of the spaceship.
Here we go.
Play Alien Isolation for the first time. I've heard a lot about this game. I've heard that this game is very scary. I've heard that this game is very true to the aesthetic, and I've also heard it's very fun. So I'm actually really excited to give this one a shot. I'm also a little afraid because I'm getting the feeling this is going to be pretty heavy on the jump scares, but I think we can do it. It feels
Final report of the commercial starship Nostromo.
like a movie.
This is Ripley. Last survivor of the Nostromo. Signing off.
So we are going to go find her mother. It's one of the few facts I know about this game, which means going back to the Nostromo. I'm kind of excited to play this game because it feels like I'm just watching a movie rather than... But I'm sure it's going to make me wish I was not playing it soon enough. Love it. Love the spaceship aesthetic. I love the music. Like, with what we have here, the game does not even need to... It just already sounds so beautiful. Like, it doesn't need to look great. But it does look pretty good. It's like I feel like I'm walking around a museum for the set of this movie. Documents.
What happened here? My God, Ripley. You're doing good, Tim. Just keep moving.
There's always got to be a conflict.
Taylor, Ripley, hold on.
But my initial, how long have we been doing this? Like 20 minutes into this game, It's pretty high. It's one of the better like first 15 to 20 minutes of a game that I've played. That's mostly just like story. Like some stories, it's really tedious, and you're like, I want to get to the game already. I'm done doing this. But this one, I'm like, oh, this is sweet. It's like I'm playing the movie. I love it. Love the save thing. You know, it's good that I'm playing this game live, because if I wasn't playing it live, I probably wouldn't be going as deep into it that I feel like I have to.
Oh.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, going inside one of these vents has always ended well in an alien movie. This looks promising to go across. Oh my god. Oh my god. Yeah, the sound design is so good. That, oh man, I wish I hadn't fallen. Like, I've noticed a theme of like a lot of ways I've been rating these horror games is the amount of dread that I feel when something happens. I feel dread with the idea of going through this. This is a wide open space, and I don't know if I feel more or less safe in it. What's going to kill me first, the alien or the humans? Wow.
The twins. I'm here. I'm right here. Relay. Damn it.
It's locking me in here. Oh no. This is not great. Okay. Yeah, this game is mega unaesthetic, but I'm mega scared of it at the same time. So, okay. Well, we're doing it. Alien's gonna know where I'm at. I don't. Can I drop this? Is that? Is it? Can I throw it? I don't know. I don't know if I want to be holding that. I'm just gonna go cower in the corner for the rest of the stream. I guess we got to do it, right?
Stay still.
Okay. Okay.
Turn around.
What's your name?
Axel.
What are the chances I watch this guy die?
We can get into all sorts of. What have I got on me?
The saliva. I guess you no longer have to be surprised. Yeah, rip in peace. This is definitely it. This is... We're in the end game now. Transit station. stop transit. Oh, here we go. I don't like this. Let me in, let me in, let me in, let me in. And that's where we can go ahead and pause it here. That's where we stopped. So if you want to see what happens after I go into that, next Wednesday we will continue our stream of this game.
That looks so good.
Oh my god. See what I'm saying? It's like the movie. It's like playing the movie.
It
The
really is.
music, the soundtrack behind it, the score behind it, and then I heard that, which is that play on the violin, and I just was like, it's around, it's over there. Oh,
I was
my
so
goodness.
scared sitting in that transit station as the music was like slowly ramping up its volume.
Yes.
The thing would not just park and let me in.
You literally are at the, you're captivated by the fact that you can't go anywhere. You have to play the movie out. You're literally at their demise, I guess.
I can't wait to play more of it. I'm so into this game.
I now need to get this game. Is this just a PC game? What is?
It's on console, so you can play this on PS4 and I think Xbox too.
Great. I think I read it's on Nintendo Switch too, so that's amazing.
So everyone should play this game. I can't believe I didn't hear more about it when it came out.
Yeah, it did have it did have a very warm welcome. I do recall when it did come out and people were playing it, but I think that kind of died out because there were some subsequent Alien games that came out after that didn't do so well. So I think it kind of marred the image of the Alien franchise when it came to gaming, from what I understand.
I do remember you and I talking about that, SistaSlaya. I remember you and I talking about that when it came out.
Yes, I remember when one of the games came out and we were talking about playing it because we were talking about Dead Space. Did you feel that it was similar to playing Dead Space?
This felt slower than Dead Space. It's I mean, I didn't see the alien until like over an hour in when it killed that guy. And
wow.
I think I know the alien like runs around the map and it's kind of spontaneous whether or not you run into it. So it's hard to say, but it didn't feel like a Doom or a Dead Space type game, which is much more of a run and gun. This was more like a slow burn, like narrative.
So it was really character driven.
And it really grabbed me because you're just so invested in it. Yeah, it's so mega character driven.
Wow.
And it really was, it really looked like you were in that space. It was wonderful to look around and see the detail in the graphics, to see the amazing sound effects.
And the orchestral like experience overlaid over a game, which isn't something I think we get a lot of. Like that uses the sound effects.
Sure.
Yeah, that was wonderful. That was wonderful. Well,
highly recommend. Tune in and play it with me if you want to see what happens after we go to the other side of that tram station, because I don't know yet either.
All right.
I wish you could play this together. Wouldn't that be fun?
Yes, as a crew, trying to survive on this.
Definitely.
I would love it.
Totally.
Definitely. So let's go on. So we were talking about, of course, being that, this being Black History Month. And one of the things that we wanted to talk about specifically is Black being in horror films. And since that is your forte, Augie, let's talk a little bit about that. So I know that you have for us some content about some horror films that were out. I guess you're going to base it on what came out first or whatever. Black people have been in horror films seriously, no. Black people have been in horror films for a very long time, and people just think that it just happened with Jordan Peele, but no, we've been in horror for a long time.
So I'm going to look at horror from a couple of different angles. The first angle could be, Black people representation within horrors, right? So I can look at that. But then we also have, what are the first directors? What are the first people that actually produced these horror films? Not just the actors that we see on the screen, but the people in the background. And then finally, actually, the first thing that I want to talk about, I want to talk about an amazing movie that was really generally considered the birth of modern American cinema. And it happened in 1915, which to some people is not considered a horror movie, but if you are Black, it is considered a horror movie. So, and this is very interesting. I won't tell you the name just yet, but let me just tell you some of the firsts that happened in this particular movie. It was many different movie techniques were actually done in the making of this particular movie. So it pioneered the making of the panoramic long shot, the iris effect, still shots, night photography, panning shots, the careful staging of battle scenes where hundreds of extras were made to look like thousands. And it's the first movie with its own musical score. So this was a groundbreaking movie when it came out. And it ultimately was Hollywood's biggest grossing film until the release of Gone with the Wind. So we're not talking about an indie. We're not talking about, small pickings here. We're talking about a really big movie. And that movie is called The Birth of a Nation.
Oh.
So, and you can see from this poster, you can see that this was no subject matter for young children. This was a really poignant movie about race relations. But what makes it so interesting, it was originally called The Klansman, that you can see here in the poster. But and it was directed by D.W. Griffith. Now, D.W. Griffith, excuse me, was a Confederate Army colonel and a Civil War vet. He was a really big mover and shaker in Hollywood.
That's interesting.
Yeah, many of the major studios actually, and many of the major producers that eventually ended up becoming and creating their own studios worked with D.W. Griffiths in the early days of making movies. So
can I interject and ask, so then if he was this big Hollywood mogul working in Hollywood, do you think that then had an effect on how Black people were represented in Hollywood at that time?
It not only had an effect, but his understanding and portrayal of Black people within this film made a solid representation of Black people that were subservient, subjugated, made for entertainment only, shown to be animalistic, too emotional, unstable. These types of things began with this particular movie. And it's very interesting because this movie was starring Lillian Gish. I don't know if you know who Lillian Gish is, but she was like the Julia Roberts, right? She was like the world's first Julia Roberts of her day, right? She was the it girl during this time in cinema. And actually, this movie made Lillian Gish. It made her the superstar that she was. So this was the movie that really made the, so for example, with Julia Roberts, this was Pretty Woman for Julia Roberts for Lillian Gish. This was no small potatoes movie. So it was the screenplay was adapted from a novel and play called The Klansman. It's about a family called the Stonemans who finds its friendship with the Camerons affected by the Civil War, both fighting in opposite armies. The development of the war in their lives plays through to Lincoln's assassination and the birth of the Ku Klux Klan. So you can see all of these symbols of racial progress and holding Black people in their place, all within one particular movie. And the Klan plays a really huge part of this of this particular movie.
So the Klan actually was not the villain in this movie. They were the heroes, from what I understand. When yeah, they were the heroes in this movie.
That's right. That's right. So this was the vision of someone who was so intrinsically racist that this person didn't see anything wrong with portraying people like this on the big screen. And this was a very big production value, as you can see right here. But it also did things like it had white actors playing Black actors in blackface. It had, it had people that were clearly not. I'm not sure what this movie is from.
It's from The Birth of a Nation. They remade it.
The remake. Okay, got it. So, and they didn't even try to hire Black actors. And in fact, the people that they hired, the white actors that they hired to portray Black people, were only for scenes where the Black people had to come in contact with the right actors, which was so fascinating.
Oh my God.
So it's so wrong on so many levels. So after the 1915 release, riots broke out in Boston and Philadelphia. And it was Chicago, Denver, Kansas City, Missouri, Minneapolis, Pittsburgh, and St. Louis all refused to show it because of the content that was so crazy. Now, ironically, this sort of, if you look at the pendulum, this portrayal of Black people in cinema is so far on the opposite side of the pendulum that the pendulum came back, and it actually inspired many African-American filmmakers to begin and attempt to counter the film's depiction of them and to offer alternative images of African-American people. So,
can I ask you something though, Augie?
Of course.
Why was this film so volatile? From what I do remember and understand, that it depicts a Black man as the villain, and that the Klan were in pursuit of this Black man for something specifically, that he was ravenous, or that he was
seen as it was almost like he was possessed by something.
Yes.
It seemed like he had he had come down with rabies or something. He was was it that he had was it a rape or something he was accused of a white woman specifically? Absolutely,
and this made it look like he was ravenous, and that he didn't, his testosterone was not in check, or basically that's how they depicted Black men of having this, ravenous sex lust, basically. Absolutely. And that they went in to take care. Yep.
And then and they end up having a mock trial of this person. They end up killing this person. And I mean, it's really horrific. And, even it's used as a recruiting tool for the Ku Klux Klan to this day, by the way. This actually was, to give you an idea of how big this was the first film to be shown at the White House.
Oh my God.
Yeah. By President Woodrow Wilson. So if you take where we are today, it's so different when you consider this content and you consider the experiences of Black people and white people, and to consider that this movie was okay to be shown to many white audiences who didn't see things wrong with it. You can see just how far we've come along now because of it's massively controversial. It's a horror movie, definitely, for its portrayal of sort of violent acts against innocent people. but many people think of it as, it's on many top 100 lists. Many people think of it as one of the best, certainly silent films ever made.
I've never actually seen this movie, and I guess I've always kind of had like a reluctance to it because of the content. But I feel like it is an important movie to have seen. So, I mean, I think at one point I will.
Well, let me tell you, it's available on YouTube. You can watch the entire thing on YouTube.
I don't wish to, honestly. But I can understand why this is depicted as a horror film for Black people, because it's such a gross misrepresentation of who we are as a people. So I don't think that I will, if I had to look at a film aesthetic, maybe I might have to watch it for them, but I just really would not want to watch the film.
I completely understand. So let's move on to, so I had to talk about that because that was not a horror movie in the way that we understand horror movies, but it brought horror onto this nation, onto an entire race of people. Now let's move on to something that's a little more uplifting and kind of fun. So let's move on to, there's something called Son of Ingaji. Now, Son of Ingaji was a remake or a sequel to a movie called, you guessed it, Ingaji. but what makes this particular film so interesting is it really is the first Black film made with an entirely Black cast, and it was made by a Black director. So, and if you think of the time, that this was 1940, so this is a full 25 years after we saw The Birth of a Nation. And this was something that was so interesting because you have this director, his name was Zach Williams. He was a director, a producer, and he preferred to work with all Black casts, and he targeted his movies for Black audiences. So, and in this movie, and I don't know, he might have been inspired by Birth of a Nation. Perhaps. I'm still digging in. I haven't found a lot of information about Zach Williams. I'm still trying to find out more information. But he portrays sort of the opposite portrayal of what you would see. This is Ingaji, which is like a gorilla, like a scary monster gorilla that's brought over from Africa. But it's kind of silly, it's kind of, the whole thing is sort of fun and silly and ridiculous. It's kind of campy. It's not meant to be taken seriously. All the acting is kind of done with a wink, wink, but you can tell the people that made the movie genuinely enjoyed being with each other, liked making the movie, were having a good time, and had a really good, positive, vibe when you're watching this movie. It makes you feel good.
So in order to watch this one, should I start with Ingaji? Do I need the context of the first movie to watch this?
Absolutely not. So, but you'll definitely enjoy. By the way, the original was a full decade earlier in 1930. So it's not as though this was like a movie and then the sequel came out like we're used to now. This was a movie came out 10 years later. A sequel came out that was really the son of the major character.
So what's the premise of this particular movie?
So it's about a group of people. It's actually kind of a fun thing. It's about a group of people that are going along in sort of their beautiful lives and having a good time, the way many horror movies begin, where you have all these people that are just enjoying their lives. And there's someone who lives in their neighborhood in this kind of rundown house that happens to be a witch. And this witch happens to get involved in the lives of the people around them and bring in this monster, or she sort of creates this monster out of potions and stuff to come in and sort of bring havoc to this beautiful, loving town. So it's a really interesting and fun movie. It's not. It's nice to see portrayals like this, especially after you watch something else, like Birth of a Nation. It's fine, and even the scary parts are not really scary. They're just kind of fun and ridiculous,
campy,
and campy. And I love that. As I've said before, I love the camp. The camp horror really is able to talk about even some really good topics in a way that is approachable and doesn't sort of shove it down your mouth, you know? So that was The Son of Ngaji. I needed to talk about that because it was the first all-black cast, and it gave you the opposite portrayal.
Yeah, I really want to see that.
It's also available on YouTube, the full movie available on YouTube. So feel free. Hi, Mia Sprite. Good evening.
Hi,
Welcome.
Mia.
And the last one that I want to talk about is one that hopefully we've all seen. If not, I will very much question my friendship with you. It is actually from 1968. Can anyone remember what this? Oh, all right. Well, we get you did it. I was gonna try and guess what it was, but it is Night of the Living Dead. It is Night of the Living Dead.
What's this?
Oh, give me a break. Give me a break. Annabelle, you got to tell me you've seen this movie.
So I have seen this, but it was within the past 2 years for the first time.
It is okay. You do not have to see this
But she's seen it.
young.
I've seen it and
Good.
loved it.
And what do you notice about this poster? Look at this poster.
The black man is leading.
He's
That's
in the middle.
right. That is exactly right. And that's why I wanted to bring this up. That's what I wanted to bring up about this. This is really the first movie where we see the imagery of a black man who is not only in the middle leading, but he's protecting a bunch of white people. He's the hero. He's the one who is calm in the middle of this storm of people getting attacked by zombies. He's the only one able to keep his head and his wits about him. And this, if you think of the portrayals that we have gone through, this is finally sort of the portrayal that we want to see, right? the image of a black man hero that is able to save the day against things that are beyond our experience. Now, this, if you, we'll do a little trivia. Who was the director of this movie? Can't IMDb. No searching. Stop searching. Okay.
George Romero.
George Romero. You're absolutely right. So what do we know George Romero from? We know him from The Crazies, Season of the Witch, Dawn of the Dead, Creep Show, Day of the Dead, Monkey Shines, Land of the Dead, Diary of the Dead, all of the Deads, right? That is George Romero. This is his first full-length movie. He grew up in the Bronx. He ended up going to school in Pittsburgh. This is the first feature film actually ever filmed in Pittsburgh, believe it or not. Kind of interesting. He had done some short movies before this, and then he and his friends formed something called Image 10 Pictures in the late 60s, and they all chipped in roughly $10,000 a piece to produce what has become as the most celebrated American horror film of all time, Night of the Living Dead, and this is in 1968. And now it was shot in black and white, and color was available at that point, but it was a conscious choice to shoot it in black and white because of the sort of noir feeling that it would give. And the budget, the shooting budget was $100,000, which was quite a bit of money at that point.
Yeah.
But it went on to make $30 million.
Wow.
So
that is a lot.
That is not a bad return, let me tell you. The main character, his name is Ben. Ben was played by an actor named Dwayne Jones. And something that was so interesting that I found out in my research was the character was originally supposed to be a crude sort of truck driver with no specification of race. And there he is. And Dwayne Jones was a theater actor who came in and auditioned. And his sort of serious nature, his sort of academic way that he portrayed himself really struck George Romero, and they ended up rewriting the part for him.
Wow.
So
that's what you want.
And I'm so glad they did too,
I
because
did too.
I feel like he was the only redeemable character in that house when I watched it.
He was the only one I cared about.
Yeah, the other ones were
honestly.
all kind of like, you can die. You
Yeah,
can
like,
die.
but I really feel badly. I don't know. But he actually was an actor, theater actor, trained theater actor that came in and sort of created this. There was no sense when this was being created, no sense of making some sort of racial statement. There was no sense of this being, something new or groundbreaking at the time. In fact, in '68, you can think of all of the incredible things that were happening in the United States that had to do with racial relations. And here we have this movie that was going on at that very moment. In fact, there is a story that after, here it is, I have it right here, after the final editing and the voiceover dubbing was complete, and it was complete on March 4th, 1968, George Romero threw the film in the trunk of his car and drove to New York to see if anyone wanted to show it. While driving to New York on the night of April 4th in 1968, Romero heard the news on the radio that Martin Luther King had been assassinated. So many, this came out right after the assassination of Martin Luther King. When it first came out, people didn't know what to do with it. It couldn't find a distributor. Within the next year, it was the highest grossing independent film ever.
And I think that the reason why is because he inadvertently became a social commentary by casting this Black man and throwing all caution to the wind, not knowing how much money was going to have that. And this is so unprecedented. He took a chance on a Black man being the main character in a film. And then look what happened. It just kind of, unfortunately, it was something that we as a country needed, especially Black people, to see our representation of someone being in the forefront, fighting off a horde of zombies and protecting people who really actually did not deserve to be protected. Let's just face it, because there was nobody redemptive except maybe the main character, the female, in this story. So who knew? And this is probably why it propelled into such a classic film, and why it propelled at the time the box office, is because of this representation that we had not seen before.
Absolutely. I mean, I agree wholeheartedly. On a personal note, it's interesting. There were many depictions of how the cast, this was a shoot where people knew each other. People were cast in the movie that were friends of the production, the directors. They were one of the people that was in the house was actually a secretary that worked at the editing studio where they were doing some of the work. They actually shot the basement scenes in the editing editing company's basement, because the house where they filmed it didn't have a basement. So this was a relatively small production. In fact, the house where they filmed this was scheduled for demolition, and they actually had to go into the house and clean it up to make it look livable before they shot it. So it was kind of a very interesting commentary. Actually, can you imagine George Romero going in and like cleaning up this house? That's literally what they did. So many of the actors remained friends, and many of them commented on what it was like to work with Dwayne Jones and what a good person he was. He really did apparently suffer quite a bit based on all of the strife that was going on with racism in the 60s. It really did affect him personally. and many of the actors, stayed friends until his death.
Wow.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, he just recently passed away, I believe. Did he not? I think that he did. He just recently passed away.
Was it recently? I thought it was early. We can do an IMDb for it, but I thought it was in the
my
80s.
idea of being when he passed away, I thought it was recent, but I mean I could be wrong.
I'll go do a quick search when we move on to our next topic. But that's what I have. I wanted to focus primarily on, what is it that that we don't necessarily know about the firsts in Black history when it comes to horror movies. And I think it's a fascinating topic to go for. He died in 1988.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Okay. Wow.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That was interesting.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you bet.
So I wanted to talk about something this week. I had the opportunity to watch The Night Stalker on Netflix, which is the story about Richard Ramirez and, one of the most prolific serial killers that we had in America. There was a lot of things about him. He was a Satanist. He was a pedophile. This man was just every gross aspect of any thing that you could think of compiled into one person. He was extremely troubled, conflicted, and maybe even possessed. But the interesting thing about it is that he has a commonality with something that a lot of people may or may not know. And if you dive deeply into the subject matter, you'll know that he actually, while he was doing all of this horrific killing in California, was staying at something called the Cecil Hotel. Cecil Hotel, sorry. So the one thing that we know about the Cecil Hotel, and a lot of people don't know about the mystery of the Cecil Hotel and what its past is the mystery of Elisa Lam. And Elisa Lam was a young student who went out on a journey, she was Cantonese. Her Cantonese name is Lam Ho Yi. She was a Canadian student at the University of British Columbia in Vancouver. And they discovered her body in the water tank atop the Cecil Hotel in downtown Los Angeles on February the 19th, 2013.
I remember.
It's probably one of the most strangest mysteries ever in life. Actually, she was missing at the beginning of the month. And the reason why they discovered her is maintenance workers found her in the water tank of the hotel because the people of the hotel were complaining that the water was dark, the water pressure was low, and the water tasted funny. But they found her body in the water tank. Now, the water tank itself is strange that it was the top of the water tank was not big enough to fit a whole entire body. So the mystery is, how does she end up in this particular hotel? This hotel, in the water tank. Yeah, exactly. This hotel is so very infamous that a lot of us have probably seen it depicted on American Horror Stories Hotel.
Oh, yes. I watched the entire season.
Yes. Now, the Cecil Hotel was not as grand as the hotel in American Horror Story, where they made it look very, 1920s, very elegant, Baroque, or anything like that. It wasn't like that. Maybe in its heyday it was, but the Cecil Hotel that we know is in Skid Row. It's in Skid Row. And it's one of the cheapest hotels that you could stay at in California. So
I can see why.
Yeah, it's very cheap, but it has like a very
bad water.
history. Yeah, well, not the water. The water is not the issue here. The water is
It sounds like the water is the issue.
The hotel is just a scary hotel. So it just is like, what is it about this hotel that is so very scary? And the thing is that people don't know this history of the hotel because of the fact that it's not very widely mentioned, that people are looking, staying there, but they don't know what has happened there. There have been many suicides. There have been 2 serial killers that stayed at the Cecil Hotel.
2?
2 serial killers. It's not the most, it's not the most wonderful place. And the interesting thing is, why did she decide that she wanted to stay there? I believe that there's a hostel feature to this hotel. And I knew that they probably, advertised it as being inexpensive, but being in the heart of LA so that you could come and, enjoy LA. But
I see the water tanks. I see the water tanks from the side.
So strangely enough, why would she decide to go on a trip by herself to this particular hotel, knowing the history of this hotel? And that's what we're kind of going to dive into about this hotel. Now, a lot of people feel that Eliza was called to this hotel for a specific reason, supernaturally called to this hotel.
Really?
Yes. Because of the history of the hotel. And interestingly enough, Netflix is also doing a story on the Cecil Hotel, or this vanishing at the Cecil Hotel. So this is how prolific this hotel is. This hotel, just so that you'll know, I'm going to pull up a little stats. So this was the home to 2 serial killers. And correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know who the other serial killer is, by the way. Maybe you all can research that. Okay. The naked body of Eliza Lamb was found in the water tanks. There have been numerous suicides at this hotel. Numerous. As long as the hotel has been around, which was in the 1920s when this hotel was established. But we could go a little bit further into this case regarding the Cecil Hotel and just all of the things that have happened there. Maybe I can find some footage of things that people have, felt or experienced doing that. I know my friends from the Ghost Adventures have actually been there. So we have to find, of course, Zach Bagans went to that hotel. He did. But let's talk about Eliza Lamb. Let's talk about this mystery of her. And she went to the hotel. Nobody really knows what transpired between the time that she was at the hotel. I mean, the front desk saw her going in and out, but nobody knows what happened to her until the point that they found her, dead in the hotel. They're not really sure what happened. What they do have, though, is this strange footage of her being in the elevator of the hotel. And it looks like she's talking to somebody, that she's engaging with somebody, but there's nobody there. Nobody she's talking to. A lot of people believe that she was playing something called the elevator game. So this elevator game is something that originated in Korea. It's a ritual game that's said to give the player access to another world. And so a lot of thrill seekers play the game, but I mean, it's very specific as to what you need to do in order to go into this other world. There's like certain criteria that you have to fit. And I'm not even going to go through all the criteria because I don't want Annabelle trying to play this game.
You definitely have my interest piqued.
But you have to find a building that's at least 10 floors. You have to press certain buttons. And once it reaches the 10th floor, when you go up and down in the elevator, you have reached this outwardly place that, and I don't even know if you can come back to it. There is a return. Oh, excuse me. There is a return method that you have to do, but you have to do it to the T, or you get stuck into this alternate universe.
Does it have to be like a specific elevator make?
No.
Any elevator?
It could be any elevator with a hotel that has 10 floors.
It has to be a hotel.
Exactly 10 floors?
It has to be, 10 or more, I'm assuming, 10 or more. But it has to have at least 10 floors.
I kind of want to go find a hotel now.
Oh, Lord.
Before you play this, I have an interesting tidbit I just found on this particular hotel. I don't know if you can take this. This is so amazing. Elizabeth Short. Do you know Elizabeth Short?
Yes. Do you know Elizabeth Short? Annabelle, do you know who Elizabeth Short is? Elizabeth Short is the Black Dahlia.
The Black Dahlia. One of the best known
mysteries. Another unsolved mystery.
Right. She was reportedly seen at Cecil's bar in the days shortly before her murder on January 19th, 1947.
I'm telling you all, it's something weird about that hotel.
There's a wiki page that details all of the killings at the Cecil Hotel and all the suicides.
So we'll actually do a show specifically about the Cecil Hotel in that capacity and going over everything. But I wanted to show the audience the footage that was found of Elisa Lam playing this supposed elevator game. And you all tell me, does it look like she's wigged out or whatever? Now, they did say that she had a history of depression, that she was on medication. So they feel that that what we see on film is justified. But this is someone who was in her right mind when she arrived at the hotel, and when people were seeing her, she was in her right mind. So what is it in this particular day would cause her to lose her mind and to end up dead? So I'm going to share this with you. So this is some actual footage. You see her getting in the elevator. She's now pushing all of the buttons, as I said, which is part of the elevator game. Now she's waiting, but check this out.
Whoa.
It looks like she's hiding from somebody, or she's playing a game with them.
Yeah.
You know, kind of like somebody playing peekaboo or hide and seek. And then she comes out of the elevator and she's looking, you know, for this individual that she's supposed to be talking to. Look at her.
Looks like she was found.
But look at her steps, how she's walking, like she's doing it in some type of a pattern. Strangely enough. Okay, so she stands outside the door of the elevator. Obviously, you know, if she was really hiding from somebody, she would not be standing there visible. So it looked like somebody she was waiting for didn't show up. She pushes all the buttons, and I don't know if she's
pushing all the buttons.
I don't know if she's pushing, but she looks like she's pushing them into some kind of a sequence. And I don't know if she's pushing them because the elevator's not working or what.
And now she walks out again.
She walks out again. And now it looks like she's talking to somebody. She's having a conversation. Look at her hands. Look at how her hands are. Like she's having this elaborate discussion with somebody. Like she's saying, I told you once, or I did 1, 2, 3, or she's having a conversation with this person. And then she walks off.
She doesn't look like she's in a right state of mind for sure. Something's going on in her world.
Something is definitely going on. But don't you all find it to be strange that even though she pressed all the buttons, the door of the elevator did not close?
No, it didn't do anything.
No.
I keep waiting for it to close.
It has not closed. There it goes. But look how long it took for the elevator to close.
And that was the last that
that was the last. That's the last.
And she's not the one that ended up in the water tank.
No, she did. She did.
Naked in the water tank.
Yes. And interesting too, we know what's really profound here too is the door keeps opening and closing, yet it's not going to a floor. And she obviously pressed the floors.
Oh, it's not going to a floor? I can't.
No.
I thought the floors looked the same.
That's the same floor.
That looks like a different floor.
Oh, is this a different floor? So it's going in the elevator. It's going up. The elevator's going up. Yeah. Very, very strange.
Totally strange and horrifying. Really.
Yeah, very horrifying. So
I'm reading the instructions to go to another dimension right now.
Well, you're not going to share those instructions with our audience because I think that somebody wants to do that on their own personal time, they can do that. But we're not going to share that. We're not going to.
I'll give you a hint. There's lots of going ups and then back downs and then back ups.
It's very specific. The game is very specific.
Up, down, up, down, up, up, down, down, up.
Yep. It's really crazy. It's really crazy.
I would completely forget what I was doing.
Yep. And one of the things that I did not specify is that she was found completely nude in the water tank.
Yep.
And she accessed the roof where the water tanks were, which has an alarm to it. So how did she access this without the alarm going off?
Imagine just like beating the elevator game and being like, man, this is the worst dimension ever.
Yeah.
Just inside of this water tank.
So the Cecil Hotel now is still, it's not called the Cecil Hotel. It's called the Stay on Main Street now, or the Stay on Main.
Yeah, I was just looking at it on Google
Yeah.
Maps.
Yeah. So it's not, they changed the name.
Would you
Stay on Main? Yeah.
So
Stay
I've
on
got to.
Main.
Would you stay there? Would you stay at this hotel?
For what reason? Not if I was visiting LA. No, definitely not.
Augie, would you do it?
Oh, I have better taste than that. But would you? but would you investigate this as a paranormal location?
I definitely would, based on all of the history of what has occurred at this particular hotel. I mean, you have to think that it's just too coincidental that there have been 2 serial killers there, the death of Eliza Lamb, many suicides, Elizabeth Short. I mean, you have to say that there's some strangeness around it. Just so you know,
strangeness, absolutely.
Exactly. And just to let the audience know, Eliza Lamb's parents have filed a wrongful death suit claiming the hotel failed to inspect and seek out hazards in the hotel that presented as an unreasonable risk of danger to her and hotel guests. So I do believe that the suit was dismissed in 2015. So they did try to sue, but they dismissed it in 2015, which I also think is strange, because I want to know why, if you are a parent in mourning, why you would dismiss this suit.
All right. So the second serial killer was Johann Jack. His people refer to him as Jack Unterweger.
Johann Jack?
Johann was his real name. People called him Jack Unterweger, an Austrian man who, upon being released from prison after being convicted for 1974 murder of a woman, became something of a minor celebrity. And then he began killing more women. So that was in the 70s.
Oh, well, you know what? I remember this guy, and I believe that he kind of was he was handsome. He had the same kind of notoriety as Robert Ramirez, and that he, this is why he had all this fanship around him, where women were in love with this guy, because he was a pretty decent looking guy. Let me see if I can show our screen so I can show you like a little picture of him.
This is Ramirez you're showing us?
Nope, I'm sharing the picture of Johann Jack Unterweger. So this is him right here.
Mm-hmm.
He was very well put together, very good looking guy. And strangely enough, oh, wow.
That's a photo for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. That's crazy. Well, like I say, it's just weirdness does pursue. And I'm sure we haven't heard the end of what's going to happen at the Stay on Main, and now known as the Cecil Hotel.
Lesson learned, don't just trust TripAdvisor. Look at Wikipedia before you book that next vacation.
Yeah, the reviews were surprisingly good.
Yeah. I'm curious, what are the reviews saying?
I mean, it had like a 7.8 on Kayak or whatever. I was looking up the rates while we were doing this.
What do you think? But what do you what do you think? Oh, Mia.
Thank you, Mia. You know what? Let's do it. Let's go and stay at this hotel and just live stream the entire night.
Oh, I do that. I definitely do that.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, no.
Watch me go to a new dimension, everybody.
Watch me live stream the new dimension.
Yeah,
it takes me back like four years to 2016, right when Trump was elected. Worst dimension ever.
That's a horror movie for you. Yeah, that's a horror movie for you. Definitely. So, with that being said, that's what I had to offer tonight. We are going to do a segment on the Cecil Hotel itself and the history of the Cecil Hotel, but the Eliza Lamb case is still unsolved, you all. And everybody has theories about her. There's hundreds of YouTube footage out there talking specifically about things that people saw her doing. The way that she was talking to people, tracking, retracing her steps on that day when she was murdered. So very, very strange unsolved case.
Yes.
Yep.
Very interesting story. And you said Netflix is coming out with a documentary about it?
So Netflix is actually doing they're doing a documentary on it called The Vanishing at the Cecil Hotel. I don't know if it's out now, but I think that the Netflix right now is just like killing it when it comes to these like semi series about people, like prolific serial killers and strange mysteries and stuff like that. They're really killing it. And it's good binge watching. If you can take it, if that content doesn't just get into your psyche, it's definitely good content to watch.
Oh, I've definitely been binge watching Netflix. HBO Max has some good stuff too.
I have a recommendation for you if you like that type of content, but this is also a tough one. It's called Don't F with Kitties or Cats.
Cats,
Oh,
yes,
Don't F with
yes,
cats.
yes. We ought to do a segment on that because that is an amazing case. And I was riveted watching that.
You know what? That one's hard. That was hard for me to watch. I thought it was riveting, but the content
the content is not easy to take.
Was very disturbing.
Yeah.
Because apparently I have more empathy for cats than I do humans. So
does half the world. That's why cat theory videos are always viral.
I think I found out about that from you, SistaSlaya, and it was, I could not stop watching it, and I was horrified by it, and it still stays with me. It's one of those things that you watch and it doesn't leave you. You still sort of feel a little bit about the experience, but it was an amazing story.
Yeah. I think what is really terrifying about all of that is the psyche of these individuals, Yeah. Yes, Sandra, I agree with you. So, it's just the psyche of these individuals and what has been created in this world. Have they always been around? Has this type of an individual always been around? Or if we just covered it up in our, friendly made societies that are covered up with religiosity and, good vibes. And now this is all coming forth because believe you me, serial killers have been around for a long time. We've kept that pretty hush in America because we don't want to mention those things. But now I just see all this content about these people. Oh, what are we creating here? These are definitely individuals with fractured mentalities. So it is fascinating at the same time, just looking into their mindset.
I'm making my way through the Richard Ramirez one on Netflix.
Yeah, it's hard to take. Yeah, it's hard to take too. It's hard to take too.
I have trouble binge watching that.
Do you know the interesting thing about him too is he had a big fan club. There were a lot of women that wanted to marry him.
I'm sure there were men too.
Yeah, yeah. Once he got his teeth fixed, he was like now a decent looking guy, I guess. But just imagine. One thing that I do have a theory about Richard is that when he was punished, he came from like a semi-abusive family household or whatever. And then when he was punished or when he got in trouble, he would lay out in a graveyard and a local graveyard. That's where he would sleep. I can't help but think, and this is, of course, my theory about anything when it comes to spirits and stuff, that he may have been possessed by a ghoul because the things that he did were extremely ghoulish. Yeah. The fact that he carried around with him this pungent odor that nobody could identify. The fact that his teeth were so rotten out and he never got it set. I just have a feeling that that's what happened.
Wow, horrifying! And yet again, American Horror Story deals with him in 1984.
Right.
In that season. By the way, the Netflix series that comes out about this is actually coming out this coming Wednesday.
Oh wow!
So in a little less than a week.
Okay.
So it's not out. It's out on the 10th. So
which one? About Richard Ramirez?
No. This is the one about the Cecil Hotel and
so that's coming right up.
That's coming up. Yeah.
So it's Crime Scene: The Vanishing at the Cecil Hotel, a new Netflix series. Is in less than a week.
All right. Sandra, I just wanted to answer your question that no, he got new teeth when he was in prison. So understand that he got new teeth on with our money. I don't think he was eating very many people in prison, though.
How could he eat people with no teeth? He was slurping. He was like gumming. He was like he was gumming a little bit, but it wasn't quite as effective.
Well, he didn't use his teeth. I think, that's one of the features that people noticed about him when they described him and depicted him in police reports.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, we could stay here for a very long time, but we just wanted to remind our audience once again that we are moving to Thursday nights. Thursday nights, 8:00 Eastern Standard Time, 7:00 Central Standard Time, 5:00 Pacific Time. All right. So thank you so much for joining us, all who commented and stuff. We love it. Please like, subscribe, follow us on CRYPTID Productions and all of our content that we have there. We'd like to see comments so we can possibly answer them on future shows. But thank you so much for sticking with us this evening. With that said, we are going to end it tonight. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend, you all. And we will see you next week.